that's a long kick. That's a long kick. I
You're
understand
paid to kick, man. That's your job.
I understand that, but again, that's a longer kick. And I mean, it's to win the game. There's a lot of pressure on that.
He missed
kick.
two of them, though, right? Didn't he miss two of them?
He missed two.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and the OCP team of correspondents recap NFL Week 8, share their thoughts on poor quarterback play, when teams should remove their head coach, review Dr. Adams' strictly for entertainment purposes only picks, as well as previewing Week 9 of the NFL season. Welcome to today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams. My tag team partner is on Sunday assignment, and go get that homework done. But again, dated reference, we have our cavalcade of stars, fresh off a trip to the far Pacific time zone. Robert Abney is back with us. Robert, how are you, sir? Welcome back.
As always, sir, I'm living the dream. We had a great trip, and now we're back and got basketball games Friday and Saturday, and off we go, man.
All right. We have the unofficial benefactor of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Brian Mobian, with us. Brian, how are you?
Couldn't be better.
We have the team captain for life, Will Cotton. Will, what's going on, sir?
Happy Halloween, everybody. We had a great party, and I'm ready to go trick-or-treating on Monday.
All right. Okay. And the bane of my existence, my favorite former player himself, Follower Campbell. Yates for the 49ers, because I had the Rams today. Follower, how are you doing, man?
Happy Niners Day, man. Come on now, Coach. You usually talk to me before these things, man. I could have told you we had the Rams number during the season at least.
Oh man. Okay. So segment one, folks, on this Top Shelf Tuesday edition is my games of interest and my random rants. Segment two, we go to the OCP team of correspondents. And then segment three, we do things strictly for entertainment purposes only. And again, to tip you off, I did take the Rams the points today. So anyway, my games of interest. Falcons, Panthers. Okay. What a finish. Dude couldn't stay in the moment. Kickers still have to make that daggum thing. And once again, I'm going to tell you the quarterback position is overvalued, overpaid, and overrated because some dude that they pulled off the street almost pulled off the upset.
PJ Walker's not some dude. Come on, man.
All right, following you first, man. Did you see the game? Did you see the finish? Why did he take his helmet off? I know why. But you still got to kick the 48-yarder and knock it in. Follow and talk to me about that game if you checked it out.
I mean, you got a team sitting prevent with everybody back. And I think I saw Pat Mahomes just tweet that was the best throw of the year. That throw and that catch at the moment, who knows how I would have celebrated? You know what I mean? Like that's a game-winning play, and they made it happen. But obviously, you know the rules. You can't throw your helmet off. And yeah, the penalty was, it's supposed to be for that play. Again, that's a long kick. That's a long kick. I understand.
You're paid to kick, man. That's your job.
I understand that, but again, that's a longer kick. And it's to win the game. There's a lot of pressure on that.
He missed two of them, though, right? Didn't he miss two of them?
He missed two.
You might have to walk. You might have to get a coach ticket. I don't know if he gonna
I don't know, but yeah, it's tough. That's tough. That's a tough one. But again, first of all, I'm a big fan of PJ Walker. Big fan. I've always been a fan of him. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that's some random guy. Like, no, even when he was, I think it was 2 years ago when he was, the quarterback that he did well. So he just didn't have a healthy, Christian McCaffrey. But yeah, that's a tough way to lose. A tough way to lose.
All right, so I'm going to get off that rant. I want to talk about the Bears and the Cowboys. So the Cowboys look good today, and this is when they get me every year. Right around Thanksgiving, they string off a couple of wins, and we all get excited. And then I go to the window and I say, bet on Dallas, and they let me down. Brian, as somebody who follows the NFC East closely, is this where they get me and Dallas makes me think that they're good, and then the boogeyman comes?
It was the Bears. I mean, let's not.
They hung 49 on the Bears, man.
Yeah, but they gave up 29.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I said it at the beginning of the season, and I still think now. I don't think they're that good. I just don't. And so I think it's fool's gold. I wouldn't be putting my money on Dallas right now for sure.
Okay. All right. So that was what. So Robert, the last game for me was the Raiders and Saints, and you've got to tell me, how do you get shut out by the Saints? How? It's the Saints. They shouldn't shut anyone out. Talk me off the ledge, sir.
I didn't watch that game.
I don't think anybody watched it, Robert. So don't.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Well, yeah, but was it in? They probably whoever was actually in the building watched it, but that may have been it. When people don't score any points in the NFL, that always makes me wonder if, like, the offense's bus got lost on the way to the stadium and wound up in another town or something. I don't know, but
Devontae Adams had one catch.
What's that?
Yeah, and a reverse, an ugly one.
Devontae Adams had one catch. Like, how are you gonna not throw to the guy that you just?
And they ran into a reverse. Did you see the reverse? It was terrible.
Spent a lot of money on that guy. You might want to figure out a way to get him the ball.
Yeah, don't give him a reverse. That's where you start.
I'm not saying this because it's strictly happenstance, but Chris is not with us tonight, and neither is Mike King. But I think it's just happenstance, but I'm going to let that go. So I got some random thoughts, fellas. Real life is real. Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady announced this past week that he and wife Gisele Bündchen have finalized their divorce, ending 13 years of marriage. Brady posted on Instagram, and I'm going to quote Brady, "In recent days, my wife and I finalized divorce from one another after 13 years of marriage. We arrived at this decision amicably and with gratitude for the time we spent together." The other side said in an interview in September to kind of forecast what was going on, Gisele said she expressed her concerns about Brady continuing to play because of the violent nature of the game, but said, ultimately, I feel that everybody has to make a decision that works for them. He needs to follow his joy too. She also said that after years of supporting Brady and tending to their family, now it's going to be my turn. So as someone who is divorced, and no one gets married, in my opinion, to get divorced, man, it's hard. So wanted to send our thoughts out because, again, real life's real. They got kids, all that stuff. Gisele's a step parent as well to Tom's oldest. Yeah. So I'm going to start with Robert as the senior member of the group. Any thoughts on Tom Brady's play based on this? Does now he play better because the weight's off, or is it just going to be bad after bad after bad?
I think you just called me old, but I'm going to ignore that.
Verbiage.
I mean, what I'll say is this, is that, I mean, Tom Brady's not, at least when he meets with the media and that kind of thing, he's not the most expressive guy. But so far this season, I haven't seen anybody look quite as joyless about what they're doing as Tom Brady has looked. I mean, he just looks like it's like every day he's out there, it's kind of like, what exactly am I doing? Why am I here? What am I doing? And that may be a reflection of what he's going through. I have that T-shirt as well, and I would not wish that on anybody, and it's a hard thing to go through.
Absolutely.
And so he looks like he would rather be anywhere other than where he is, and it may be because they're not very good. I don't think they're not very good because of him. I think they have a lot of other issues, that just they haven't addressed for one reason or another. But I mean, the dude looks miserable, and it's hard to do anything well when you're miserable.
Yes, and before I move on to the next random item, it is challenging. It is hard to have all of that on you, and again, that team's not very good, and it rarely ends well. But I'm going to move on following. When do you let go of a coach? Detroit keeps losing, and we'll jump in on this too. Pittsburgh's not doing as well as it could be. Denver snuck out a win in London, and Cleveland plays tomorrow on Monday Night Football as we tape on Sunday. But following, you watch these teams. When, as an owner, when, as a general manager, do you say, okay, let's just cut this thing?
I mean, each team is different. Obviously, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, we've seen what Mike Tomlin's done with an average team, with a good team, with a bad team. And he still hasn't had a losing season. Now, I'm not saying this year will be his first.
You should be.
You
should say that.
I know, Brady. You're right, but I'm rooting for him. I'm hoping he can get to that 8-8, and I don't know. He can fight this one through, but it's gonna be tough. So it just depends on the coach. I felt like Detroit just hired their coach, didn't they? Or no, he's been there for a while.
Like 2 years ago, right? I believe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, dang. So that's a quick turnaround to fire him right, again, but or fire a new coach. So it's tough. And then Denver just hired their coach. So I mean,
how long do you stay with the bad hire, man? How long do you stay?
You hired him. You got it
quick, ASAP, if you can. You like Fowler said.
What is quick?
Quick? I think you have to understand the culture of the team. You know what I'm saying? I think if you have a young team,
I mean,
it may be a different option. You know what I'm saying? But if you have more like savvy veteran thing, then you may say, hey, look, if we can salvage this thing and get rid of this guy, cut our losses, and we can move forward. Like it's never opportune time, obviously, in the season to cut a guy. I mean, it's terrible, but Phillies fired their manager in the middle of the season, and they went to the World Series. And last year, when the Raiders fired Gruden, then they went to the playoffs. So you just have to kind of know, man. And I don't think it's the right time to fire the guy from the Lions, man. I think they like him.
Hard for him, Will.
They play for him. I think
what do we really expect from these teams? You said Detroit. You said Pittsburgh. You said Denver. You said Jacksonville.
If Mike King was
Denver
is
supposed to win a chip. They paid almost $300 million. Really? They paid a ton of money. They paid like $230 million. You don't pay $230 million and you're gonna be like, all right, well, if you make it to the playoffs, we're gonna be really happy. Like, no. But they're just, what they're doing is they're using antiquated strategy by bringing in an old guy because it worked for them once with Peyton Manning, and really they got lucky because he couldn't even finish the season. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to, and do the same thing in the Colts. They're trying to rehash the same thing. They're finally let go and said, Matt Ryan, this is not gonna work. Same thing with Denver, and it doesn't hurt that there's a lot of information going out that Russ is a jerk. Like, he's not like you have to call his assistant just to talk to the guy, and we're teammates. Like that, we're not even gonna be friends. We'll never be friends. Like that's just how it is. We can't go to war together, and then I gotta call an assistant, be like, hey, can I call at Russ on 7 o'clock at da. And they're like, oh, if he's available, like. Man.
Well, with that, we're going to jump out of this and go to today's best in segment 2 and let the OCP team share their thoughts on this week in football. And we'll be right back after this short break.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student-athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book. so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read. Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
All right, welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is segment 2. We are going to let our team correspondents talk about today. And Brian, welcome back. What was the best thing you saw today, my friend?
It's got to be a Commanders win, man. Terry McLaurin is a bad man, and they just need to find somebody who will throw him the ball, and Taylor Heineke will throw it up there and let Terry go do his thing. So Carson Wentz wasn't doing that. So blessing in disguise that he hurt his finger. And I think they're going to try to ride Heineke the rest of the way, would be my guess.
You think so?
I don't think you can, especially if he runs off another one or two. You can't justify putting him back on the bench.
He's doing the job of a backup, and then you're not supposed to lose your job to injury.
Yes, but you lose your job when you can't run the offense as effectively as the backup. Then you lose your job.
All right. Will, what was the best thing you saw today?
It was the Seahawks, man. I'm really liking that team, man. Like, it's very weird. Geno Smith is playing amazing. He had 2 touchdowns today, 23 for 34, 2012, very efficient. They have a new life with Kenneth Walker. The guy didn't have too many, like 100 yards, but he did have a touchdown. The defense is playing crazy. Tyler Lockett should have had 2 touchdowns, but he ended up with 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're playing good, man. When Metcalf, when he has a touchdown, they always do well. So I think right now they're just playing that same loose that they had when Russ first got there when he was a rookie. I think they're playing that loose. They're not nothing. They're playing they have nothing to lose. So everyone expected them to be terrible. They're winning the division 5-3. They're gonna I don't know when they play the Niners, but it's coming up. That's gonna be a big game for the division. You guys one day out for the Seahawks and everything. So it was really, and people give Geno Smith the longest time. Like when he got punched in the jaw and they broke his jaw and then he was in the Jets, all that stuff happened. Nothing really happened for him. And I'm really now that he has really good coaching and a good team and a scheme that works for him, it's showing that he's not a bum and he's no longer a joke that people are like, oh, Geno Smith, joke. So I really like the team, man. I'm glad. That's my favorite today.
All right, Robert. Welcome back to the mainland. What was the best thing you saw today?
I agree with Will. I thought the Seahawks looked really good. Tyler Lockett should know he can't catch a ball with his face mask. But I mean, they looked really good. They looked really good. And I also agree with Brian. The Commanders pulling that out. I mean, that's
500. Wow.
Those are 2 teams that I think are a surprise for sure. And today that's the best stuff I saw. Those 2 guys winning probably.
Following, what's the best thing you saw today?
You guys, the Commanders against the Colts, and that's a surprising win. Like, they're both bums, but okay, all right. You know what? Let's go from there. Mine was, obviously I didn't see the Saints and Raiders game, but that shutout, I didn't expect that. I didn't know what was going to happen during that game. I didn't see the game. So just to look at the stats and see that, Adams only had 1 catch and, they didn't score a touchdown. That's surprising to me.
No CMC? No CMC.
Whoa. I wasn't done. I wasn't done.
Well, we were answering the question about what was the best thing we saw.
Yeah, the best.
What comes next?
The best.
Obviously, it was the CMC. I mean, 3 touchdowns in one game. I mean, come on, guys. You already
doing it all, baby.
Hey, look. I mean, a rushing touchdown, a catching touchdown. The catching touchdown looked like it was Odell in the back end zone. I mean, it was a great. But look, the guy looked good. And the thing is, just I haven't been this excited in a while to watch our offense. Even with Debo, it's sometimes the offense gets stagnant. It's not as exciting. Having CMC there, and I just can't wait for Debo to get back. But it was exciting to watch today. This game was not a boring game to watch for the Niners.
All right, we're going to stay with you so you can continue on with your surprise so we can stay on topic. And again, America, this is my day-to-day coaching this dude. What are we running? Skip it. I'm just going to shoot it.
I'm just going to shoot it.
So what was your surprise? Was it the raggedy offense from the Raiders? Is that what you're saying? Yes, I bet on the game. So, is that your biggest surprise?
I was definitely surprised at how bad that offense was. Again, you got the weapons. It's no reason you can't at least get a field goal on the board. Like you can't get in range. It's just I'm definitely surprised at how bad that offense looks.
Robert, what about you? What was today's biggest surprise for you, sir?
I agree. I'm surprised any time an NFL team gets shut out. I mean, it just that there just isn't that much of a gap between the best team and the worst team where teams just don't score. It just is so, unless the weather is really weird or something like that, and you're playing in a dome. A dome. I mean, you're playing in a dome. You get a 60-yard field goal at the end of a half. I mean,
exactly.
You know, it's so that's and not being able to figure out how to get a guy that you paid a crap ton of money. You can't get him the ball. Yeah, they got
from his college teammate.
Yeah, they got issues. Let's just say that. They got issues.
All right, Brian, what about you? Today's biggest surprise?
Mine was actually I'm the one that you Will said was your best game, the Seahawks. I'm surprised by the Seahawks. I didn't think that their defense was going to be able to hold Saquon down, and he scored a touchdown, but he didn't take the game over. The Seahawks defense is for real. So I think they're going to be, they and the 49ers are going to be probably 1-2 in that division.
The narrative has changed so fast. But okay, all right, I like that.
When you trade CMC, the narrative changes. What you mean?
Even before the trade of CMC, but that's okay.
No, it changed for
I'm
me.
not, and I don't even mean that they're going to be 2 to, they're going to be 1 to San Francisco's 2. Just I think those are going to be the 2 top teams in the division. I don't think the Rams. I think Stafford is more hurt than.
I agree.
Than he lets on.
Yeah. Will, what about you, sir? Biggest surprise?
Oh man, I'm gonna stick it in the Beltway, man. DC, great win by the Commanders. You know what I'm saying? And normally when a team loses their quarterback for weeks, 6 weeks, I believe is the most. Most of them fold. Heineke came in, started balling. All of a sudden. Now it's 4-4, and I don't know if it's necessarily it's not close, but you can get into the wild card. You can get in the wild card if you're the Commanders. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I don't think they're. Again, you can only play who you're on. Ahead of you, so you can't choose where they're going to go. But 3 in a row, keep running, keep winning. And things have crazier things have happened. But the biggest thing is don't go back to Wentz. I think they have their magic in a bottle again. I think the team loves playing with Heineke. I think he knows I'll say he even probably knows the offense a little better because just the way he comes in and just knows where to get Terry McLaurin. Like, come on, Wentz, you have a similar arm. You can't get McLaurin the same throws that you can in Heineke. You can't. So I think he just understands a lot better. I think the guys like him. The vibe is good. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be upset if they let Wentz go and just said, man, just rock with Heineke.
All right. So, Brian, I'm going to go to you. What was today's biggest disappointment for you?
I'm gonna go with the Raiders on this one. I'll just make it a trifecta. They've been mentioned in every one. Again, and it was already mentioned earlier, not being able to get Devontae Adams the ball. Josh Jacobs has been a horse the last 3 weeks, and then just not handing him the ball. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, Fowler, what was your biggest disappointment, sir?
I mean, yeah, just going back to that Raiders game, I'm really disappointed in that game. I mean, it's just no reason, because all the high expectations we had start the season off, and they've definitely be underachieving. And then for this week, just to get shut out against the Saints, who I thought was awful as well. Yeah. Like, it's the Saints. And I understand that defense was talked about in preseason and when the season started, but yeah, it's no reason you should get shut out today. Quick question: did Waller play today?
Did he? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't play. Okay, still, there's still enough weapons. I'm just trying to figure out what, like, Jake. I don't understand how you can get shut out. Like Robert said, you can get a field goal. You should be able to get past to the 40, 30-yard line and get something on the board.
Something. Robert, what was your biggest disappointment?
I think to me, just the Rams just don't look good at all. And not to take anything away from the 49ers, because I mean, you get a guy like Christian McCaffrey, you better figure out how to get him the ball, and they did, and they looked really good. But the Rams just look bad. And yeah, I think part of that is Matthew Stafford is probably hurt and isn't saying anything. But I remember reading stories last year about how the Rams were just there. We're going for it. We're going to win the Super Bowl this. It's Super Bowl or bust this year, and they did that. But I know I didn't see them being this bad coming this year. I figured they'd still be okay. I thought they'd still win the division, but that clearly is not happening between Seattle, between the 49ers. I don't see that happening.
All right. And Will, can't forget you, sir.
Oh, for me, the biggest disappointment is definitely the New York Jets. I think.
Yes, I agree.
It's the New York Jets.
For all the wrong reasons.
They had a great season going on. I know it's a big kind of personal thing whenever they play New England. And if they were to go in there and punch New England in the mouth, that would catapult their whole team and moving forward in their season. And the same thing they've seen in the last 15 years, 20 years, they come up short. They lose to the Jets at home. There's no other way you could do it. And they were playing really well. They had like a couple interceptions. They had interception for a touchdown, but they just couldn't score, man. So for me, there's a lot of disappointments today, but this was a big disappointment for me in terms of the Jets.
Yes, especially when paired with the Cowboys. That didn't work out for me. All right. So, Brian, what should we look for next week, man? What's catching your eye?
Looking at the slate of games, there's not a whole lot that I'm interested in next week.
A lot of people are biased.
Just because I'm a Commanders mark, I'm hoping that they can at least acquit themselves nicely against the Vikings. Kirk Cousins coming back into the building. I mean, it's not that that's a storyline that should pique anybody's interest, but at least, at least we'll see whether Heineke can play against a good team. But there's really not a whole lot coming up next week that I'm looking forward to.
Okay, Robert, what about you, sir?
I think it'll be interesting to see. I mean, even though the Giants lost today, if you look at their schedule going forward, they should still be 8-4 end of November, and teams like that who's when you start, and I have not looked, but when you start looking at people's schedules going forward, it's going to be interesting to see, can the Giants come back? I mean, I think they felt like this was a winnable game. It certainly would have proved something if they'd beaten the Seahawks, because I think the Seahawks are better than everybody thought they were. I'm kind of interested to see where they go from here, for sure.
That's a long flight home, I'm sure. Following, what should we look for next week, man?
It's two games I'm interested to see. The Seattle and Arizona game, divisional game, and I really do think Arizona. I mean, Hopkins played his second game today. One more game. I think that third game, even though he had a big game today, I think that could be the swing of Arizona's season. Like, look, if they lose that game, it's over. The season is over for them. If they win, it could really give them some momentum in that division. You know what I mean? So I'm not counting those guys out. I'm a big fan of Kyler, even though he's off and on. You don't know what you'll get from him. But I think that'll be a good game next week.
Sure.
And also Tampa and the Rams. Again, if Brady wins, who knows how that division is up in the air. I mean, I'm not sold on Atlanta. They're the top of the division, but if Brady wins 1 or 2 games in a row, like, he's right back up top of the division. You know what I mean? So that's a big game that I'm looking forward to. And the Rams too, they need it. They need it also. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be 2 interesting games.
Cotton Man, close us out.
2 games I'm kind of looking at. The first one's an early 1 o'clock game, Bills Jets. That's gonna be very close to. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than people think. It's gonna be in Jersey. Both teams, I think the Bills are 5-3, no 5-1, and the Jets are 5-3. So one can get a nice little score, and actually the Jets could actually win the division. I mean, be leading the division if they get that win. That's a big one for them. There's another one. It reminds me of when Floyd Mayweather and Pacquiao finally fought, and they were old and they finally got to it. Kind of what the Rams and the Buccaneers is going to happen. Like, this is just going to be an old, not as pretty, nasty. I'm looking at the schedule and there's nothing really I should take the wife out because there's really nothing to stay and watch because there's some bad games on next week. But yeah, if there's one that you're going to watch, it's definitely Bills Jets. I think that's going to have.
Wow, you are sold on the Jets. You think
No, I don't. I like them. I like them. They have a good defense. They have a pretty good offense. It's kind of I like them. They're and plus I have a lot of friends who text me about the Jets and talk about the Jets.
Oh, I knew it had to be something. Sold on the Jets.
But I mean, if we're talking about the records, I mean,
was
Brees have a losing record by the end of the season?
Was Brees Hall's injury an ACL? Is he out for the season?
He's out.
He's done. He's done for the.
So I mean, they don't have a running game now.
They traded for James Robinson. He didn't do nothing last week, but hopefully he gets more incorporated with the playbook. That could be something. You can supplement like coaches just say, man. You might you have 2 point guards. We're gonna have a Jamal and Daryl Norris. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have a Michael Carter and we have James Robinson. So if you come out with 100 yards between 2 Bahamas, you got one. You got one.
I'm not sold on these Jets, man. I'm not sold on them.
I think the Jets lose by 3 touchdowns next week.
I mean, they could. To be honest with you, the Bills are in a way different. Like they're in a way of stratosphere. Yeah, they're Super Bowl, and the Jets are like, man, we're just happy to be here. We're just happy to be the club. And Bills are like, we trying to leave with something. Like we at the club trying to leave with something. You know what I'm saying? The Bills are like, Jets are like, we're just happy to be here. This is good, man. Look at this drinks. It's free. Oh man. So, but I think to be the best game. As far I couldn't even do that the wrong way. Brian, Kirk Cousins returned to FedEx. That also happens at 1 o'clock. So that's going to be another game that's going to be kind of it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. They're beatable. They're not world beaters, and Commanders are on fire. So we see what happens.
All right, I'm going to get out of this segment because he reset the vaunted point guard battle of the winter of 2004, and we'll be right back on the Yacht Coaches Podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA SAVE Project Academic Monitoring Service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, we talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. So don't lose your money on me. But anyway, we tape Sunday night, folks. So the Sunday night game hasn't happened, and neither has the Monday night game. So we got Philadelphia's number 1. Brian, they're still undefeated. And until somebody beats them, they're going to be my number 1. Buffalo is number 2. Minnesota's number 3. The Cowboys are my number 4. And Kansas City's my number 5. I got 4 teams on the outside looking in. Giants, Miami, Baltimore, and Tennessee. So that's how I'm rolling. But speaking of rolling, I was not rolling with my picks this week. I was 2-3. I had Tennessee minus 2.5. Clearly covered. Well done. I'm 5-3 against the spread. Well, I'm not bad against the spread. The over-under, I had Chicago and Dallas over 42.5. Caught that number early. It is Chicago. So I'm 4-4 this year on the over-under. And here's where it goes downhill. My 2 play of the week, extremely conservative. Dallas and the Jets. Straight money line. Can't mess that up. Yes, you can, because the Jets played like poop, as my captain would say. My 3 play of the week was Philadelphia, Minnesota, and those blasted Raiders. What in the world happened there? And my money line upset of the week, Brian, I lost again. I picked the Rams over the 49ers. I'm 3-5 with the money line. Post my picks every Sunday, so let's hit the season-long win totals. And I don't think I'm going to win a lot of these. Pittsburgh over 7.5 wins this year. They're at 2, and it doesn't look good for me. Jacksonville over 6.5. They're at 2. It doesn't look good for me. Buffalo at 11.5. 5 wins right now. They play tonight. I think I'm pretty good with that. Chargers over 10. They got 4 wins. Minnesota over 9. They're already at 6. Think I'm comfortable there. I did pick New Orleans over 8, so I'm happy with the win, but not this week. Philadelphia over 9. They're already at 7 wins. That's in the bag. And yes, Following had me pick San Francisco over 10 wins. And are they at 3 or 4 this week, Following? What are the win totals?
We are 4-4.
All right, I'll take 4. All right. So next week, we got a slew of teams on buys. So Brian is not crazy when he says there's nothing out there. Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, the Giants, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco are all on buys. So my week 9 games to watch, Minnesota, Washington. I like Kirk Cousins for all the wrong reasons. I like him because they should have paid him. They didn't. This guy, who is a mediocre quarterback, continues to make guaranteed money, and that's why the system's broken. Okay? So keep going, Kurt. Steal all the money you can. I like the Buffaloes and Jets, Will. I like the Rams and the Bucks Following. You are correct with that, as well as Seattle and Arizona. So, with that being said, final thoughts from our panel, starting with Robert. Any final thoughts on the week, sir?
No, I mean, I don't know about your top 5. I mean, I'd go Kansas City after Buffalo, and Dallas is probably number 4. I'd take Minnesota number 5, but yeah, again, right now, like I said the last time I was on here, the NFL's plan is to get everybody 8-8 going into that last week, and it wouldn't surprise me if you didn't have anybody besides Philadelphia, Kansas City, and Buffalo with a better record than 10-7. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
All right. Following, final thoughts for the week, sir.
Excited about my Niners. I mean, first of all, you know what I mean? Got to throw that out there. Yeah, that top 5.
Philly, they're undefeated.
Philly's up there. I still believe that, Buffalo and Kansas are, above them all. And then Philly's right there. Look at this guy. Then Philly, and then Minnesota. I would throw Minnesota up there. And that 5 Dallas. It can go either way. Niners actually move up and get CMC. This week. I'm interested to see how Josh Allen looks today. I don't know if he's going to throw 70 passes or, you know what I mean, if he's going to do something remarkable this evening. But I would just say, seeing the Niners look good, and then just seeing the Raiders look really bad. Those were
All right, Will. Any final thoughts, sir?
The top 5 works with me. Philly, Bills. Well, I guess we'll go by city. So Philly, Buffalo, Kansas City, and then I think the Minnesota and Dallas are kind of flip-flop every week. We'll kind of see how it goes, who plays better, who doesn't play better. Even if it's win, you gave up 29 points. So I think I'm going to give the Vikings a little bit ahead of the Cowboys on this one. I think next week, man, do something nice with your lady, man, because ain't no fun games, ain't nothing good, ain't nothing that you would, man, go to the park, man, go somewhere, maybe go to the museum. Do something nice for because the next week everybody playing again, and these games is gonna get fired. So I say, use your weekend, use your Sunday, go take your lady
brunch,
out,
baby.
take them out,
take a Sunday off.
and we all got the phone, so you can watch the games if they really want to, you can, or check like your fantasy. But there's nothing that I would break a date for with the wife with any games right here. These are all terrible. So
hey, you might be on to something. Hey, look, just say, look, 1 o'clock, baby. Look, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm staying away from football today for you.
Right, for you.
Just go ahead,
just
go ahead and have a good time.
Yeah. Maybe if Tom Brady took a week or 2 off, he'd have been fine.
Score some points, man. Score some points.
Exactly.
Right.
Brian,
but the last thing I wanted to say about Tom Brady, a lot of people aren't saying a lot of things, but in my opinion, he's kind of selfish. You've achieved everything in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? You've done everything. You won MVPs, you've won Super Bowls, all pros, all the money that you can. You know what I'm saying? At some point, man, like your wife said, man, she wants to enjoy some time with you. You know what I'm saying? She wants to she doesn't want to have a cripple. And, she talked about it. She said that he had a ton of concussions, and they obviously don't get out to the news. Who knows how he is outside, with him personally, is he snapping on him? Is he kirking? You know what I'm saying? Who knows what's going on, man? So that's my thought. Man, I think he needs to be a little bit more. He's being more selfish. I don't know why he's playing anymore. I mean, there's not you can get the same amount of money talking in the booth. You know what I'm saying? You go talk at CBS, they'll be like, we'll give you $30 million, whatever.
You already got the contract.
He's already got the contract.
Exactly. So I'm like, what do you wait? One hit can change your life. It's terrible.
I understand that. And the thing is, we're saying that because they're having a bad year. But I mean, at the end of the day, this is something he loves. He's been doing it for 20 plus years. You know what I mean? So you can't say, oh, the guy is selfish because he's doing what he loves to do. You know what I mean? Maybe she wants to spend more time with him, but I mean, the guy's going to practice for 2 hours.
I feel he has a game 45 years old, bro. He's 45. I can see if he was 30, I can see even he had won one chip, or even maybe he's like, man, I want to get another. Even if he won 2, and he's like, baby, I'm trying to get 3. That's what your man won 6 Super Bowl, dog.
So you're saying 45 is old for the rest of his life? He has the rest of his life.
Man, I can't. Look,
you can only play football for so long.
I'm not a pro athlete. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a pro athlete. So if I makes Tom Brady career, I'm out of here, bro. I'm done. Especially talking about I can make $30 million doing the same. And she was like, you don't have to leave the game. You can still talk. You can coach. You can become. You can do whatever you want.
Though, Will, it's not about. She clearly makes more money than he does, and he already has a contract after football anyway. It's not about. He's not coming back for the money.
So what's he coming back for?
Because he loves playing the sport. This is what he loves. He probably took a week off and was like, no, look, I can't sit in this house all day. I can't sit in this house.
Selfish. It's totally selfish. It's totally selfish.
Back on the field.
It's the same way. It's the same way when you retired. You were like, man. When we talked about it, you were like, man. I want to spend some time with my kids. My sons are getting a little older. His sons are getting old too. He's 45. His sons are 15. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, but there was a difference between me being in Europe than him. He's still home. It's not like he's not around his kids.
But
if
man, but
There's a difference.
but there's nothing to prove.
All right, fellas, this is my locker room, by the way. So, Brian, you're going to bring us levity. I want the world to see what I coached with. So, yes, this is our locker room, and this is me sitting in the corner. And I'm like, are y'all done? Great. Let's get back to it. So, Brian, close us out, sir.
So, two things. One, I'll just chime in on the Brady thing. It's possible he retired, sat at home for a couple of days, and said, I don't like it here. And then he decided to do something else. And people do that. I mean, if his circumstances have changed so significantly, it's possible. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I read that the 49ers were going to install Christian McCaffrey with a limited play set. The man threw a touchdown pass today.
Right.
Limited,
no limits.
Packet. So the fact that he could, with less than a week of practice, come in and throw, run, and catch a touchdown, I think the sky's the limit for that San Francisco offense, especially when Debo comes back. I think they're going to be a problem. And
they're on a bye next week, so they got time to practice. So should be interesting.
And they can run that three running back package that Shanahan loves. That's gonna be dangerous, boy, with that.
Oh boy. So, fans, on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and my esteemed panel of guests, I am Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care. Tell me you didn't do Hawaii.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.